Namaskar, this is Tulja Bhavani. I welcome you all to my online classes in law, especially to the wing of business law. Dear viewers, this is a course which is specifically designed for the BCom students online having 6 credits, BCOC 133. So here we are today to discuss about the performance of a contract. Dear viewers, in our earlier classes, we have learned that to form contract, there must be agreement and enforceability. If a contract is having the aspects of agreement as well as enforceability, then only those contracts can be performed. So here, what is the meaning of performance? What is a performance? Performance of contract means completion of contract. If you enter into contract, you are entering into a contract with some purpose. So once your purpose is fulfilled, it means your contractual obligations are completed. So fulfillment of contractual obligations by the respective parties result in performance of a contract. Let us take the example of Mr. Ram, who wants to sell his home for 50 lakh rupees to Mr. Sham. Ram wants to sell his home to Mr. Sham for 50 lakh rupees. Here Sham has given 50 lakh rupees to Ram and Ram has transferred or handed over the registration documents to Mr. Sham. Here both the parties, Ram and Sham, have performed their contractual obligation. Now the contract is performed successfully and both the parties are relieved from their contractual obligation. The contract has come to an end in a positive manner. I can give you another example. Let us assume that you have went to a doctor for treatment of your lungs cancer, and if your lungs cancer is cured off, the doctor is charging fees for rendering you services and you are paying the amount to him for getting cured out of your cancer. Here you are completely cured from your disease and you have made payment to doctor. Doctor has also performed his duty of taking care of you. Here the contractual obligation of both the parties has been fulfilled. So now we are going to discuss about the types of performance. What are the various types of performance? Dear viewers, the performance of contract is defined in section 37 of the Indian Contract Act, and it says that the performance is categorized into two types. One is actual performance and another one is attempted performance. The question arises, what is a actual performance and what is an attempted performance? Actual performance. Dear viewers, here the parties to the contract have done what they were supposed to do. Now there is nothing to be done. It means दोनों पार्टियों ने अपनी अपनी जिम्मेदारी को यहाँ पर अच्छी तरह से निभाया है. If the parties to the contract performs their contractual obligation, it is called as actual performance. Let us assume that Mr. Ram has made an offer to Mr. Sham saying that, Sham, do you want to buy my car for 5 lakh rupees? Here Ram has made an offer, so Ram is called as an offerer and this offer is being made to Mr. Sham. So Shyam is called as an offeree. So the offer is made with regard to selling of car and receiving 5 lakh rupees from Mr. Shyam. Ram has handed over the car to Mr. Shyam and Shyam has given 5 lakh rupees to Mr. Ram. So here both the parties to the contract have performed their legal obligation. The performance is done completely here. It resulted in positive performance and it is called as actual performance. Another example I can quote you that Mr. Sundar is going to send goods to you for which you are supposed to pay 3000 rupees to him. Sundar has sent the goods to you through Indian Railways. Here Sundar has sent the parcel through the train and after reaching the train, the goods are sent with the guard. So the guard has brought the goods to you through the South Central Railway. So Sundar has sent goods to you and you have received the goods, you have made the payment. Here also contractual obligations of the parties are fulfilled and this performance is called as the actual performance, which is otherwise known as positive performance. Both the parties to the contract have performed their contractual obligation. Then comes attempted performance. Attempted performance means what? Here the promiser wants to perform his promise or his part of obligation, but the promisee refused to accept it. It means what? The promiser wants to perform his part of obligation. It means what? The same example I am giving you. Ram has entered into a contract with Mr. Shyam. Ram has made a proposal. The person who makes a proposal is called as proposer or promiser. The person who makes a proposal is called as the proposer, offerer, and the person to whom the offer is made is called as the offeree or the acceptor or the promiser. Here the offerer is also called as the promiser. So attempted performance. In case of attempted performance, the promiser wants to perform his part of obligation, but the promisee refused to accept it. The promisee is not accepting. Why he is not accepting? Because he is busy due to some work. So now the promiser is relieved from his part of obligation. He need not perform his contract. Let us take the example of Krishav and Shyam. Krishav makes an offer to his friend Shyam. Yes, Shyam, would you like to come with me for a cup of coffee? Here Krishav is making an offer. So Krishav is called as an offerer. He is also called as a proposer. He is called as a promiser and he is called as acceptee. He has kept a proposal of taking a cup of tea with his friend Shyam. Shyam has accepted his proposal. As he has accepted the proposal, Shyam is called as the acceptor and the other person, Ram, is called as he is the acceptor and Ram is called as the acceptee. As Ram has proposed for going to a cup of tea, Ram is called as the proposer and Shyam is a proposee. So when when Shyam has given his acceptance, it means he has given whatever offer is made, that offer Mr. Ram has to fulfill. It means Ram has become the promiser here. When I have accepted, your offer has become a promise and you are the promiser and I am the promisee. So Ram has to take Mr. Shyam for a cup of coffee. Then the Then the promisor wants to perform his part of obligation, but the promisee refused to accept it. Here the promisor in my example is Mr. Krishav. Now Mr. Krishav wants to take Mr. Shyam for a cup of coffee, but Mr. Shyam said that I am busy right now and I cannot come with you. Now Ram is relieved from his contractual obligation. Now Ram need not take Mr. Shyam for some other time for a cup of कॉफ़ी. जब मैंने आपको ऑफ़र दिया था, आपने उस ऑफ़र को एक्सेप्ट भी किया. जब मैं परफॉर्म करने के लिए रेडी हूँ और आप अगर मुझे रोक रहे हैं तो दोबारा आप मुझे मेरे कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल ऑब्लिगेशन को परफॉर्म करने की मांग नहीं रख सकते हैं. राइट. नाउ हु कैन डिमांड ए परफॉर्मेंस. अब ये परफॉर्मेंस कौन डिमांड कर सकता है? सो हु कैन डिमांड ए परफॉर्मेंस? ए प्रॉमिसर कैन डिमांड ए परफॉर्मेंस. His legal representatives can demand for a performance. The third party can demand for a performance, and joint promisees can demand for performance. Now the promisor can demand for performance. Now the same example I will take of Mr. Ram and Mr. Shyam with a different issue. Now Mr. Ram had made a proposal to Mr. Shyam saying that, Mr. Shyam, will you buy my laptop for 50,000 rupees? Shyam has accepted. Ram has given his laptop, but Shyam has failed to pay the amount. When Shyam has failed to pay the amount, it is the right of Mr. Ram. It is the right of Mr. Ram to ask him for the amount to be paid to him. Right. Now the legal representatives. In case of the death of the promisor, the legal representatives of the promisor can demand the promisee for the performance of the contract. As Mr. Krishav or Mr. Ram is no more, who were frequently making offer to the other parties, so their representatives can demand the other parties for the performance of the contract. Then the third party to the contract can demand for performance of a contract. Dear viewers, there is a landmark case here called Chinnaya versus Ramayya. So in case of Chinnaya versus Ramayya, these two are females. So here यहाँ पर क्या होता है, there is a old lady and that old lady is having a dependent sister. She is also old and the old lady is very rich. So what she does, she takes care of her sister, and when she comes to know that she is going to die, she calls her daughter and she says that whatever property I am having, I am going to transfer my entire property to you on one condition, that you are supposed to take care of my sister. Her daughter agrees for all the terms of the agreement, and here the mother transfers her property to her daughter Ramayya. So what happens, she will take care of her auntie for few years and later she stops caring care of her auntie. So her mother expires, उनकी माँ का इंतकाल हो जाता है, उनकी माँ का देहांत हो जाता है, और माँ के देहांत होने के बाद में ये जो रामैया है वो अपनी आंटी का ख्याल रखती हैं, कुछ दिन तक रखती हैं और उसके बाद में वो अपनी आंटी का ख्याल रखना बंद कर देती हैं. अब ये आंटी के पास पैसे नहीं हैं और इनकी देखभाल करने वाला कोई नहीं है, तो ये अपनी जो भतीजी है उससे कहती है रामैया से कहती है कि तुम्हारी माँ ने तुमको अपनी सारी जायदाद एक ही कंडीशन में दी थी कि ताकि तुम मेरा ख्याल रख सको. नाउ आई डोंट हैव एनी सोर्स ऑफ मनी, एज आई एम ओल्ड आई कैन नॉट वर्क आउटसाइड एंड आई कैन नॉट टेक केयर ऑफ माई सेल्फ. इट इज़ योर ड्यूटी टू टेक केयर ऑफ माई सेल्फ. Her niece says that the contract was made between me and my mother. Now my mother is no more. Now you are the third party and you cannot file a case against me. So Chinnaya goes to the court and she files a case against her niece Ramayya. Now the judge calls both the parties and hears the statement of both the parties. So what the judge says, the judge first calls auntie and he says, what's your problem? The auntie says that me and my sister were living together happily. My sister was detected with some kind of disease and she was told that soon she is going to leave the world. So as she knows that I am also dependent and I have also grown old, so she was very much worried about me. So she called her daughter and said that she is going to transfer her entire property to her daughter on a condition that after her death she has to take care of me. Based on this condition, my sister has transferred the entire property to my niece. Now the judge asked the niece to speak out. The niece says that, yes my lord, the agreement was made between me and my mother on a condition that I have to take care of my auntie, as my mother is no more and whatever property I gained from my mother, I have lost it or it is spent in some other things. So now I don't have money and I can't take care of my auntie, and who is my auntie to ask me to perform the contract, because she is a third party, she is nowhere related to the contract, she is a stranger to the contract and a stranger to the contract cannot sue the contract. The judge said that as per the Indian law, a stranger can sue the contract, whereas as per English law, a stranger cannot sue the contract. Now it is your legal obligation to take care of your auntie or else return the entire property which you have inherited from your mother. This is a landmark case popularly known as Chinnaya versus Ramayya. Now who can demand a performance? Performance can be demanded by the promisor himself because he made an offer. Then by the legal representatives in case of death or other thing which happens to the promisor. Then the third party, that is stranger to a contract, can also sue the contract. Then joint promises. So if there are 2-3 promises who are there in the contract, they can demand for the performance of the contract. Then who must perform? Now who must perform the contract? Promisor himself. The promisor has made the promise, so it is the duty of the promisor to perform the contractual obligation. मैंने आपको लैपटॉप देने का वादा किया था, तो ये मेरी जिम्मेदारी है कि मैं लैपटॉप को आप तक पहुंचाऊं. It is the promisor who has to perform the obligation. Then on behalf of the promisor, any agent who is appointed by the promisor can perform the performance. If I am not in a position to come and hand over the laptop to you, I will send my legal representative, I will send you my agent and see that my laptop is reached to you safely. Then the legal representative, in case of my death, my legal representatives will come to you and they will perform the contractual obligation. For example, let us assume that I entered into a contract. With a lady called Satya, saying that I will transfer you my vehicle provided if you give me 50,000 rupees. In simple terms, an offer was made by me to Miss Satya saying that, hello Miss Satya, will you buy my bike for 50,000 rupees? Satya has accepted my offer and she has paid me 50,000 rupees. But due to some reason I could not come to you, or due to some uncertain events, if I die, then it is the duty of my legal representatives to perform all the contracts for which I am bound to do. So, my legal representatives, my children have gone and they have handed over the bike to Miss Satya. Then the third party, as I said, the third party is also having a right to perform the contractual obligation. I am no more a person related, but if this is benefiting somebody, then the third party has a right to interfere and see that the contract is performed. Then performance of joint promises. Performance of joint promises means what? Let us assume that there are 4 people, A, B, C and D. They have taken loan from a person called Z. So, here when they have taken loan from Z, it is the duty of A, B, C, D jointly and individually to repay the loan to Mr. Z. So, they were carrying the amount with them to pay the amount to Z, and unfortunately these 4 people have met with an accident. When they have met with an accident, on the spot Mr. A has died. So, when Mr. A has died, it is the responsibility of the remaining people who are alive to perform the contract and see that the loan is repaid. So, B, C and D, they have to give the amount to Mr. Z. Now, A has died. Now, it is the duty of B, C and D. Now, B is in critical condition and Mr. B has also expired. Now, the duty passes to C and D. C has also expired. Now, it is the duty of D to see that the loan is cleared and the amount is paid to Mr. Z. Now, D is also no more. So, it is the duty of the last person, that is the son of D, to see that the contractual obligation is performed. Now, types of reciprocal promises. Here we have a concept of reciprocal promises. What is a reciprocal promise? Reciprocal promise means when parties to an agreement make mutual promises to do or to abstain from doing something, it is called as reciprocal promise. Reciprocal promise means if I am promising you something, you are promising me something. यदि मैंने आपको 4 बजे मिलने का वादा किया है, तो आपने भी तो मुझे 4 बजे मिलने का वादा किया है. Here both the promises, here both the parties are making promises to each other to do or to abstain from doing something. It is called as reciprocal promises. So, what are the types of reciprocal promises? Mutual and dependent reciprocal promises. Here, doing their part without waiting for the other party. Mutual and dependent means both the parties are doing their part of obligation, implementing their part of obligation without waiting for the other party for their performance. Mr. Ram, he made a promise. He put a proposal to Mr. Shyam saying that, will you purchase my laptop for 50,000 rupees? Shyam has also agreed. Ram did not wait for the money. He simply gone to the home of Shyam and he has handed over the laptop. Similarly, Shyam has come to the home of Ram. He did not wait. जब तक लैपटॉप मेरे पास आएगा तभी मैं आपको पैसे दूंगा, ऐसा कंडीशन श्याम ने नहीं रखा. उसने लैपटॉप के लिए इंतज़ार ना करते हुए राम के घर जाकर राम को 50,000 रुपये दे दिए। देन कम्स कंडीशनल एंड डिपेंडेंट, conditional and dependent reciprocal promises. It means performance of one party depends upon the performance of another party. Performance of one party depends on the performance of another party. Let us assume that there is a person beside me to whom I have requested to give me the printouts. So he promised that he is going to give me the printouts, but in the printer there are no papers. Now someone has to give him the papers, then he can give me the printouts. Here the performance of the person who is sitting beside me depends upon the person who is going to supply him the paper. So the performance of one party depends upon the performance of another party. Then comes mutual and concurrent reciprocal promises. It means what? Making the performance simultaneously. Both the parties are making their promises, implementing their performance simultaneously. It means what? You give me the laptop and I will give you the amount. एक हाथ से आप वस्तु दीजिए और दूसरे हाथ से आप जो है पैसा लीजिए. So dear viewers, in our today's class we have discussed about the performance of contract, where we learned the meaning of contract with n number of examples, and we discussed about the types of performance where it is where it is categorized into two types: actual performance and attempted performance. Then we even discussed about who can demand the performance. It can be demanded by the promiser, by his legal representatives, by third parties, and by joint promisees. Then we have even learned that who must perform, who has to perform. The promiser himself has to perform, promiser or his agent has to perform, legal representatives have to perform, third party can perform, and performance of joint promises. Then we learned about reciprocal promises. It means these are the promises which are made by both the parties to do or to abstain from doing something. Then types of reciprocal promises, we discussed about mutual and independent reciprocal promises, conditional and dependent reciprocal promises, and mutual and concurrent reciprocal promises. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. This is Tulja Bhavani signing off. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.